Yo, what's going on today, YouTube? It is Tuesday, and you guys know what that means. It's Tier List Tuesday, baby. Let's go! Alright, you guys, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about shotguns. Shotguns right now are pretty freaking overpowered, just to say it. That's the first thing I have to say about them, because right now, SMGs are slowly getting nerfed, and shotguns just have not been touched. Literally since the Season 4 big mid-season patch where they started lowering the time to kill, which they didn't really do that much of it, but they had a big patch, and essentially the shotguns were just never touched. And I think right now is a great time to talk about shotguns because they are just insanely strong right now. Thankfully, we haven't seen too many people like breaking them out every single game. It isn't like the doof meta or anything like that, but they are in a stupid good spot right now, and a lot of people are sleeping on them. So let's rank them up for you guys. We're going to be talking about Rebirth and Warzone, or Verdansk today. And essentially, I'll tell you which one's good for which mode and which one's good for both, because there is obviously some good for both and other ones that aren't good for Verdansk, or one's not good for Rebirth. So, guys, if you guys do like today's video, make sure you guys do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below what you guys want to see next. And let's jump right into it. So starting off today, guys, we're going to be talking about the VLK Rogue. And honestly, guys, I want to put it in A tier, but I think I'm going to stick it to B tier just for the fact that the skill gap on this gun is high. In most shotguns, the skill gap is not very high at all. The reason I say the skill gap's high on the VLK Rogue is because the fire rate on it is a little awkward. So you have to shoot, wait a second, then shoot again. Yes, it does a ton of damage, and the fire breath rounds are actually pretty good on it. It looks insane with the fire breath rounds. If you guys haven't used it before, like, it's the widest, like, it looks crazy. But the VLK Rogue, it's basically a two-tap if you hit upper body, but there is that awkward gap in between where you don't hit that shot, the second shot, like, the person's just going to kill you by that time. So a little bit higher skill gap, definitely viable, but I don't think I can rank it any higher than that. If you hit both your shots consistently, you could potentially argue that it is an A tier weapon though. The JAK 12, I'm honestly going to put in S tier. Like, there's 3 shotguns on this list that are just way better than the others. And honestly, the JAK 12 is that one that no one really talks about, which I don't know why. If someone can let me know in the comments why they don't use it, I guess, my guess is just movement speed. It does feel a little clunky, but as long as you don't put the 32 round mag, you put the 20 round mag on it, it really isn't that bad. Most shotguns in general are a little clunky, but the JAK 12 feels phenomenal right now, guys. Super slept on. Don't use the fire breath rounds. Like, don't use those. They've been nerfed. They're not that good. But if you use the regular rounds on it, it's usually a 3 or 4 tap, and it's a full auto. So it's really freaking easy to use, and it actually has surprisingly good range, which is really surprising because that's usually the first thing they nerf on a gun. And the JAK 12 just kind of is it's been under the radar, and against SMGs in a building, you're going to win every single time with that, because it's probably the easiest gun on this entire tier list to use, because the bullet spread is pretty narrow. So it's really good, guys. Trust me. The Model 680 is probably going to go down to terrible for me. This is a gun that just has never got enough love. It basically is the same as the VLK Rogue in the fire rate, but the Model 680 is supposed to do the same amount of damage roughly, but it just feels so clunky, and you want to make it work so bad, because this gun reminds me of like the OG COD 4 days. Like, the gun is exactly like that gun, but it just isn't good, guys. Like, don't touch it. The 725 is, I'm going to put it in the terrible-ish just because it is bad. But there is a slug build on it that you can literally kill people basically across the map with it. You have to hit headshots with it, though. If you don't hit a headshot with it, like, you're not going to kill anyone. So if you ever want to mess around and have a good time, put the slugs on and hit a headshot, and then you'll just be, like, losing your mind. But it's definitely not consistent. The Howard 77, guys, is honestly so good for Rebirth Island. I want to rank it like ground loot, like S tier for Rebirth Island. Like, it's so good because they have 2 plates. You can basically 1 tap anyone if you're like right on top of them, if you hit them in the head, or 2 tap them in the chest. But I'm going to leave it at C for the time being, because if you're in Verdansk or Rebirth, there's just, the fire rate's not great on it. You have to get on top of someone where the fire rate to flinch ratio isn't good enough. Like, on most of these shotguns, when you're shooting someone, the other person's getting at least some flinch that's messing up their shots. The Howard fire rate's so slow that this person, if they have an SMG fighting you, is most likely going to kill you by the time you get that second shot off. But like I said, in ground loot and Rebirth Island, I rank that S tier. It's literally my favorite ground loot weapon to get because it's almost like Fortnite back in the day where you're just one pumping people in the head. It's really fun to do. So definitely messed around with the Howler a little bit in Rebirth, but for Verdansk, there was no spot at all for that weapon. Street Sweeper, I'm going to put at A for the time being. I do think it is potentially an S weapon because it's very good, but I think the Jack 12 is just better than it, honestly. The Jack 12, I was actually going to put this in S tier now that I think about it, but the Jack 12 is just better. It's better than the Street Sweeper. We have a change. Like sometimes I look at this list when there's not that many weapons and I'm like, all right, so Jack 12, Street Sweeper, Gallo, all S tier. Street Sweeper is A tier. Jack 12 is just better than the Street Sweeper. Straight up. It's the same weapon. Both are clunky and slow, but the Jack 12 is easier and does more damage. So that Street Sweeper nerf that I got was at beginning of season 4. The spread on it just a little wide. If you're on top of people, probably the easiest gun in the game to use. But as of right now, it's not that good. Next, we have the Origin 12. I'm going to put it at viable. I think that back in the day, it was just absolutely busted. So it wasn't way too easy to use. Now, you do have to hit a couple extra shots with it, but it's still really easy, guys. Like, at the end of the day, it's a viable shotgun. I'm surprised we don't see more people just running it for just like casual fun times, but I think it's because just most people don't like shotguns, and you're watching streamers, and most of them don't use shotguns unless you're in a tournament. So, Street Sweeper, really good. So the Origin, it's pretty solid, but I don't know. I think I would rather take the Street Sweeper or the Jack 12 over it. The Gallo SA-12 is easily the best shotgun in the game, guys. Easily. It's a rank 1 shotgun, probably the best short-range weapon in the entire game right now. This last week, we saw a person put a riot shield on with the Gallo and win $100,000. So, literally insane how good this gun is right now. There's no way you can beat it up close with an SMG. There's no way you can beat it with any other shotgun just because the spread on it's close. It's really just 2-tap. It's full automatic. It's just the better shotgun right now. I would say the Jack 12 is competitive with it just because of, like, the fire rates are pretty equal, but the Gallo just does more damage at the end of the day, and the movement feels better on it. The only downside is the reload. So in Rebirth Island or Verdansk, if you guys are getting third-partied and you just have like a really long fight, it is hard to like stick those. Like literally, it takes 18 years to reload this gun, so it takes a little bit to like get back into a fight, but you really only need like to get 2 or 3 of them in there. So if you cancel your reload and get back in there, you can make it happen, but you have to be really smart about how you're taking those fights because you only got like 2 shots in a gun that you really need the casual 12 of them that are in there to take out a whole team. So got to be careful with that. And last but not least today, guys, we have the R9 Doof Fire Breath Craziness. So as everyone knows, the Doof was probably the worst meta ever in Call of Duty, like arguably, because it was really freaking annoying because you were getting literally 2-tapped across the entire building. Like it didn't matter how close or how far you were just getting 2-tapped. They've got rid of that. So at this point in time, if you're on top of people, you can still get that 2-tap, but you're not going to be going through a building and just 2-tapping an entire team and being ridiculously far away from them. It's a solid weapon, and I would put it in very solid as an A tier, but I wouldn't put it anything higher than that. Definitely slept on right now. I think it is actually in a really good spot, but the movement is really, really clunky on it, and you do have to be very good with your shot. So the skill gap is a little bit higher on this one. It's kind of like that VLK Rogue where you have that doof, and if you don't kill him, you have to wait a second and hit that shot. So if that person's really good at their movement, it might be hard to hit that third shot, but it is super solid right now, guys. But that's going to be it, guys. Season 5 shotguns. Right now, super strong. If you guys haven't broke them out recently, definitely recommend breaking them out because at this time, like, it's kind of scary how good they are and how little are being changed to them. Thankfully, a lot of the big streamers don't use these or they're banned in a lot of tournaments because they're just super easy to use. So we haven't really seen like that fluctuation of just everyone using them yet. But if you guys haven't tried them recently, like put the Gallo on and you are literally just going to run through your Rebirth Island lobbies. Like it's so easy in Rebirth to use it. And then when you go to Verdansk, it's just so much better, guys. Like for Verdansk, like most of these shotguns are viable within a building. You got to remember, you got to get within the building. In Rebirth, you're just automatically in buildings like 90% of fights. So good luck to anyone in those if you have a Gallo out. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys do enjoy today's video. If you guys did, make sure you guys do drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel so you can guys find yourself back to the channel for next week's video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.